Jamie Parker stared at the text message that would define the next 10 years of her life. She said yes to Marcus. "I can't breathe. Can you come over?" It was 2 in the morning, and her emergency overnight bag sat by the door like it always did. Inside were comfortable clothes, tissues, portable charger, snacks for Miles, and a heart she'd packed away so many times it had permanent creases. She grabbed her keys without thinking, because that's what you did when the person you loved was breaking apart, even if they were breaking apart over someone else. The drive to Miles Chen's apartment took 15 minutes, but Jamie had made this journey so many times she could do it with her eyes closed. 10 years. An entire decade of being the person Miles called when Hana's song destroyed him, again and again and again. She found him exactly where she expected, on his couch, tie loosened, whiskey in hand, looking like his world had ended. Which, to be fair, it probably felt like it had. "She's really marrying him, Jay," Miles said, using the nickname only he was allowed to use. Marcus Ashford, old money, hedge fund manager, the whole boring package. Jamie sat beside him in the spot that had molded to her shape over the years. "Miles, I gave her everything. Why am I not enough?" The question hung in the air like smoke, and Jamie almost laughed. Almost. Because she'd been asking herself the same thing for 10 years, watching Miles love everyone except her. "I ask myself the same thing every day," she whispered. But Miles didn't hear her. He never did. He talked for hours about Hana. How beautiful she was, how they had chemistry, how Marcus was just stable and boring and safe. Jamie listened because that's what she did. She validated his pain, held him when he cried, and watched him fall asleep on her shoulder while her own tears slid silently down her face. In the morning, Miles would thank her and call her his best friend, and those 2 words would land, like punches, every single time. But this morning was different. This morning, the door opened and a man walked in who looked like danger, wrapped in expensive fabric. Kang Ji-won didn't knock, didn't announce himself, just prowled into Miles's apartment like he owned it, and maybe in some fundamental way, he did. He was everything Miles wasn't, sharp where Miles was soft, commanding where Miles was gentle, present where Miles was perpetually distracted. "You must be Jamie Parker," he said, and his voice was dark honey and winter frost combined. Jamie nearly dropped her coffee mug. "And you are?" "Kang Ji-won, Miles's older brother." He moved past her to the window, surveying the street below with the practiced eye of someone used to watching for threats. "Half-brother. Different mothers. I was raised in Korea." Then he turned those dark, assessing eyes on her and said the words that would change everything. "How long have you been in love with him?" The coffee mug slipped from her fingers. She caught it at the last second, but the damage was done. He saw. He knew. "I don't know what." "My brother," Ji-won cut her off with the precision of a surgeon's scalpel. "How long?" "Why does it matter to you?" He stepped closer, and Jamie fought the urge to step back. "Because I don't like seeing people waste their lives, and you, Jamie Parker, are wasting yours." Hey Nesties, welcome to Afro-Korean Stories Nest. If your curiosity is already piqued, don't forget to like, share, and comment. It really helps out my channel, and tell me, can you love your best friend in secret for 10 years? Let me know. I read every single comment. Before Jamie could respond, Miles stumbled out from his bedroom, bleary-eyed and confused. "Ji-won, what are you doing here?" "Father thought I should check on you. Heard you were making a fool of yourself over a woman again." Ji-won's gaze flickered to Jamie. "Though it seems you have someone to clean up the mess, as always." "Jamie's my best friend," Miles said defensively. "She's just helping." "She's enabling you. There's a difference." The words hit Jamie like a slap, mostly because they were true. She'd been enabling Miles's obsession with Hana for a decade, always there to pick up the pieces, never demanding more because she was terrified of losing even the scraps he gave her. Ji-won pulled out his phone and handed it to Jamie. "Save your number. You'll need me when you're done playing martyr. I don't need anything from you, Jamie said, which made her a liar. Not yet, Ji-won said with a dangerous smile. But you will, Parker. You will. He left, and the apartment felt simultaneously emptier and like it could finally breathe again. Sorry about him, Miles said, running a hand through his hair. Ji-won's intense. He runs the family business in Korea. What kind of business? Jamie asked, still staring at the door. Miles shifted, uncomfortably. Import-export. Don't worry about it. He's only in town for a few weeks. But Jamie was worrying about it, because Ji-won's words had burrowed under her skin like splinters, and she couldn't stop thinking about them. You're wasting your life, enabling, playing martyr. 2 days later, Miles dropped the bomb she'd been dreading. I'm going to Napa, he announced over coffee at their usual spot. Jamie knew where this was going before he said it. Miles, the wedding is in 2 weeks. I have to tell her how I feel. Really tell her, before it's too late. You've told her 100 times. She chose Marcus. Because she doesn't know I'm serious. If I show up, if she sees me there, Jay, what if she's waiting for me to fight for her? Jamie was so tired, bone-deep, soul-crushing tired. And if she's not, then at least I'll know I tried. Miles reached across the table and grabbed her hand. Come with me, please. I need you there. Of course he did. He needed her to drive 5 hours so she could watch him crash a wedding and pick up the pieces when Hana rejected him again. He needed his emotional support animal. Jamie hated that Ji-won was right. Okay, she heard herself say. I'll come. Miles's relief was immediate and painful to watch. Thank you. I don't know what I'd do without you. Yeah, Jamie thought bitterly. Me neither. That night, her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Heard you're driving 5 hours to watch him crash a wedding. Very healthy. Jamie stared at the message, then typed back, How did you get my number? I own a security company, among other things. Don't go. It's not your business. It is when I have to watch a smart woman make stupid decisions. He won't choose you, Parker, even after she destroys him again. You don't know that. I know men like my brother. They're addicted to what they can't have. You're too available, too safe. He'll never see you. Jamie's hands were shaking. As she typed, I'm done with this conversation. No, you're not, because I'm right and you know it. Napa Valley in 2 weeks. If you're still determined to torture yourself, have dinner with me instead. I'll show you what it's like to be someone's first choice. She blocked the number immediately, then stared at her phone for 20 minutes before unblocking it. She didn't know why. She told herself it was curiosity. But deep down, in the part of her that had been invisible for 10 years, she wondered what it would feel like to be seen. If you've ever loved someone who couldn't see you, drop a comment below and hit subscribe. This story is about to get intense. The drive to Napa Valley should have been beautiful. Rolling vineyards, golden California sun, the promise of wine country stretched out before them. Instead, it felt like driving to a funeral where Jamie was both the mourner and the corpse. Miles practiced his speech for the 100th time. Hana, I know this is your wedding day, but I can't let you marry him without knowing. No, that's too aggressive. Hana, I've loved you since... Miles. Jamie's knuckles were white on the steering wheel. Maybe this isn't the best. You think I should wait until the reception? I think you should respect her choice. Miles frowned at her like she'd suggested he abandon a puppy on the highway. You don't get it. We have history. We have chemistry. Marcus is just stable, boring, safe. Jamie laughed and it came out bitter and broken. God forbid someone choose safe. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing. Forget it. They drove in silence for the next hour, and Jamie felt something shift inside her. Something that had been bending for 10 years finally started to crack. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number, except she knew exactly who it was. You made it. Impressive commitment to self-destruction. Room 804, dinner at 8. Wear the dress. Jamie typed back. How do you keep getting my number? I'm persistent. Check your room. At the hotel, Jamie found a garment bag laid across her bed, like a promise or a threat. Inside was an emerald green silk dress that probably cost more than her rent. Designer label, perfect cut, and somehow, impossibly, her exact size. The note attached read, Parker, you've spent 10 years invisible. Tonight be seen. Dinner, 8 p.m. My estate, address below. Don't make me come get you. She should have thrown it away, should have focused on Miles, on being the supportive best friend she'd always been, should have done a lot of things. Instead, she called Imani on FaceTime. Girl, where are you? Imani answered, and Jamie showed her the dress. Napa, and there's a crazy Korean man sending me designer clothes. She explained everything. Ji-won, the call-out, the dinner invitation. Imani listened with increasingly wide eyes. Let me get this straight. Miles' scary, hot older brother called you out for being his emotional support animal, told you to stop wasting your life, and is now trying to take you to dinner? Essentially. And you're going, right? Jamie hesitated. I'm here for Miles. Jamie. Imani's voice went soft and serious. Babe, listen to me. You've been there for Miles for a decade. When has Miles been there for you? When have you been your own priority? The question hung in the air, and Jamie didn't have an answer. Wear the dress, Imani said firmly. Have dinner with the scary hot man. Let Miles crash and burn on his own for once. Imani! I love you, but I'm tired of watching you disappear for someone who doesn't see you. Go to dinner. So Jamie wore the dress. And when the black car arrived to pick her up, she felt like an imposter and a queen simultaneously. Like she was playing dress-up in someone else's life, except this life fit better than her own ever had. Ji-won's estate took her breath away. Vineyard views, modern architecture, the kind of wealth that didn't need to announce itself because it simply was. He waited on the terrace in a black shirt with rolled sleeves, and Jamie caught a glimpse of tattoos on his forearms that she'd learn later marked his rank in an organization that ruled the shadows. He watched her approach with the focused intensity of a predator, and Jamie felt seen in a way that was both terrifying and intoxicating. Parker, he said, and somehow her last name sounded like an endearment. You wore the dress. Don't read into it. His smile was slow and dangerous. Too late. He pulled out her chair. Sit. We have a lot to talk about. Jamie sat, hyper-aware of the silk against her skin, the way Ji-won's eyes never left her face. How did you know my size? I pay attention to details. It's how I stay alive in my line of work. Which is? We'll get to that. He poured wine with practiced ease. First, tell me why you're really here. Miles needed, not why Miles is here, why you are. What do you think will happen? He crashes the wedding. Hannah sees him and suddenly realizes she's been in love with him all along. She leaves Marcus at the altar. You get to watch them ride off into the sunset while you drive home alone. The words were cruel because they were true. Jamie felt tears prick her eyes. You're cruel. I'm honest. There's a difference. No one's been honest with you in 10 years. They let you waste your time because it was comfortable for them. Miles doesn't. Miles absolutely knows. On some level, he knows you drop everything for him. He knows you're always there. And he takes it for granted because you let him. Ji-won leaned forward and Jamie caught the scent of expensive cologne and something darker underneath. When's the last time he asked how you were? When's the last time he showed up for your crisis? Jamie couldn't answer. The silence stretched between them like a confession. That's what I thought. A man appeared briefly, built like a tank, with eyes that cataloged threats automatically. He spoke in rapid Korean to Ji-won, something about situations being handled and Park's men not being a problem. Ji-won responded in the same language, his tone commanding, and the man bowed slightly before leaving. What was that about? Jamie asked. Work, nothing that concerns you yet. But Jamie's mind was spinning. The security, the estate, the way that man had bowed to Ji-won like he was royalty. What do you really do, Ji-won? He studied her for a long moment, as if deciding how much truth she could handle. I run protection in the Bay Area, smuggling, some, money laundering through my legitimate businesses. I have lines I don't cross, no drugs, no trafficking, nothing that harms innocents. But I'm not a good man in the traditional sense, Parker. He said it simply, like he was telling her his favorite color, and Jamie should have been terrified. Should have excused herself, called an Uber, run back to the safety of Miles and his gentle obliviousness. Instead, she asked, "Should I be scared? Of me? No." Ji-won's eyes were dark and honest. Of my world? Yes. But I'll protect you from it. Why do you even care? About me? About any of this? Ji-won's expression shifted, something painful crossing his face. My mother waited 20 years for my father to choose her. She was his mistress. He had a wife, Miles's mother. My mother died waiting. Heart attack at 52. You know what her last words to me were? Jamie shook her head, throat tight. Don't let someone make you second best. He reached across the table, not quite touching her, but close enough that she felt the heat of his hand. I watched her waste her entire life hoping he'd divorce his wife, make her legitimate, give her the place she deserved. He never did. She died as secret. And you remind me of her, Parker. Smart, beautiful, loyal to a fault, and completely invisible to the man you're killing yourself for. It's not the same, Jamie whispered. Isn't it? You have an overnight bag packed at all times. You drop everything when he calls. You watch him love someone else over and over. You're not his girlfriend. You're not even his friend. You're his emotional support animal, and you deserve so much more than that. Jamie stood abruptly, anger and hurt warring in her chest. I'm done. This was a mistake. Ji-won stood too, blocking her path. Not threatening, but immovable. Sit. Down. You don't get to... Please. The word was softer, but still commanding. Sit. I'm not done. Jamie hesitated, then sat. She didn't know why. Maybe because no one had ever looked at her the way Ji-won was looking at her now. Like she mattered, like her choices had weight, like she was someone worth fighting for. I'm not trying to hurt you, Ji-won said quietly. I'm trying to wake you up. You're 28 years old, a decade gone. How many more years will you give him? I don't know how to stop. Ji-won crouched in front of her chair, bringing them eye to eye. You start by choosing yourself, for once. Tomorrow, when Miles crashes that wedding, when Hana rejects him again, when he comes crying to you, you say no. I can't. You can, and I'll help you. Why would you help me? Because when I look at you, I don't see a backup plan. I see a woman who deserves to be someone's first, only, and always choice. And I want to show you what that feels like. He stood, pulling her up with him. If you're brave enough. I don't even know you. Then get to know me, give me tonight. Tomorrow you can go back to Miles if you want. But tonight, let someone see you. Really see. You. Dinner continued, and Jamie felt something unfamiliar blooming in her chest. Attention. Real, focused, undivided attention. Ji-won asked about her job as a graphic designer, about the photography she'd given up because Miles always needed her time, about her dreams that had gotten buried under a decade of being someone's afterthought. When he asked what she wanted, really wanted, Jamie started crying. Not delicate tears, but the ugly kind that came from somewhere deep and broken. I want to matter, she choked out. I want someone to choose me. Not because I'm convenient or safe or always there. I want to be the person someone can't live without, not the person they forget to thank. Ji-won wiped her tears with his thumb, the gesture surprisingly gentle from a man who radiated danger. You matter to me, and I'm choosing you, right now, tonight, this moment. You're not invisible to me, Parker. He walked her to the garden afterward. String lights and vineyard views stretched out under a sky full of stars, and Jamie felt like she was in someone else's life, someone who got chosen, someone who got seen. "Ask me to kiss you," Ji-won said. Jamie's breath caught. "What?" "I want you to ask. I want you to choose this, choose me, not because you're settling or because I'm convenient, because you want it." Her heart was racing, palms sweating, and for the first time in 10 years, Jamie made a choice that was entirely for herself. "Kiss me, Ji-won." "Say it again, my name. I want to hear it properly. Ji-won, please." He kissed her slow and deep and possessive, like he was claiming something precious, and Jamie tasted freedom for the first time. When he pulled back, he whispered, "You taste like finally." "Finally?" Like something I've been waiting for without knowing I was waiting. Jamie returned to her hotel at 3 in the morning, her lips swollen, her heart racing, her mind spinning. Ji-won had driven her back himself, walked her to her door, kissed her forehead and said, "Today, when Miles asks for you, choose yourself instead." She found Miles in the lobby the next morning, pacing like a caged animal, panic written across his face. "Where were you? I called 15 times. I texted, 'Jay, I needed you last night. I was spiraling and you just disappeared.' I had dinner." "Dinner? While I was falling apart? Who do you even know in Napa?" "Your brother." Miles stopped moving. "Ji-won? You had dinner with Ji-won? Why?" he asked. "He's dangerous, Jay. You don't know him. You can't trust him." Something snapped inside Jamie. 10 years of bending finally broke. "As opposed to who? You?" Miles looked genuinely confused. "What's that supposed to mean? How many times have I dropped everything for you, Miles? That's not fair. How many times have you called me at 2 a.m. and I came running? How many times have I canceled plans, pushed aside my own life, listened to you talk about Hana for hours? You're my best friend. That's what... When's the last time you asked about my life? My job? My problems? When's the last time you showed up for me?" Miles stammered, searching for an answer that didn't exist. Jamie felt tears streaming down her face, but they weren't sad tears anymore. They were angry, liberating tears. "I've been in love with you for 10 years, Miles." The lobby went silent. A couple checking out froze mid-transaction. The concierge suddenly found the computer screen fascinating. Miles whispered, "What?" 10 years? Since junior year of college. Since that stupid poetry reading where you spilled coffee on me and bought me a replacement, and we stayed up all night talking about nothing. I've loved you every single day since then, and you never saw it. Because I was safe. I was always there. I was comfortable. I was your backup plan when Hana broke your heart. Jay, why didn't you tell me? I tried, 100 different ways, but you were always too busy loving her. And I was too scared of losing you completely. So I stayed and I watched you love her. I stayed and I disappeared a little more every time. Miles reached for her. I never meant to. If I had known, if you'd known, what? You would have loved me back? You would have chosen me? Or would you have felt obligated? Would you have tried to force something you don't feel because you felt guilty? He couldn't answer, and his silence was answer enough. You don't love me, Miles. You love that I'm always there. You love that I'm loyal. You love that I ask for nothing. But you don't love me. That's not true. I do love... You love me like a friend. Like a sister. Like furniture. Like something that's just always in the room and you forget to notice it until it's gone. Jay, please... Jamie stepped back when he tried to touch her. I can't be your safety net anymore. I can't watch you crash another wedding. I can't hold you while you cry over a woman who doesn't want you. I can't do this anymore. So what? You're just giving up? On our friendship? On us? There is no us, there never was. Jamie's voice broke, but she kept going. Go crash Hana's wedding. Tell her how you feel. But don't call me when she says no. I'm done, Miles. I'm finally done. She walked away, and for the first time in 10 years, she didn't look back. Instead, she drove to Ji-won's estate. He opened the door, took one look at her tear-stained face, and said, "You told him." Jamie nodded. "How do you feel?" "Like I'm falling and flying at the same time." Ji-won pulled her inside. "Good. That means you jumped." They spent the afternoon in his vineyard. No phones, no emergencies, no one needing her for anything except her company. Ji-won taught her about wine, made her laugh, really laugh for the first time in weeks. He took photos of her with her own camera, something she'd forgotten to let happen because she was always behind the lens, never in front of it. "Are you going to break my heart?" Jamie asked as the sun set over the vines. Ji-won was quiet for a long moment. "I'm going to try very hard not to, but I'm not an easy man, Parker. My life is complicated. I have enemies. I make hard choices. I can't promise perfect, but I can promise real." "Real sounds good. Then stay. Stay in Napa for the week. Let Miles figure out his life, and let me show you yours." Meanwhile, Miles sat in the wedding venue parking lot, watching guests arrive in their expensive cars and designer suits. He'd driven there with every intention of crashing the ceremony, of declaring his love dramatically, of fighting for Hana one last time. But as he sat there, Jamie's words echoed in his head. "You never saw me. You love that I'm always there. I can't be your safety net anymore." For the first time in 10 years, Miles realized what he'd lost. Not Hana, who'd never really been his, but Jamie, who had been his always, and whom he'd treated like furniture. He drove back to San Francisco that night, alone, and the apartment had never felt emptier. Jamie stayed in Napa. She texted Imani, "I'm doing something insane." Imani responded immediately, "Finally." That week, Jamie learned what it felt like to be chosen first. Ji-won took her to his private winery, showed her the legitimate side of his businesses, introduced her to Shung-ho, his right-hand man who looked like he could break someone in half but treated Jamie with surprising respect. "Rule 1, Shung-ho told her during an impromptu self-defense lesson. "If something feels wrong, it is. Leave." "What if Ji-won is there?" "Especially if Ji-won is there. He'll want you safe first, his pride second." Jamie paused. "Has he ever killed anyone?" Sung-ho's expression didn't change. "Yes, to protect his people, to protect his territory. Never for pleasure, always for purpose." "Does that make it better?" "No, but it makes it necessary. This world, we don't have the luxury of clean hands." By the end of the week, Jamie had made her decision. When Ji-won asked her to come back to San Francisco with him to give them a real chance, she said yes. "What happens now?" she asked as they packed her things. "You move in with me. We build a life. I keep you safe. You keep me human." "That's fast. I don't do slow. I don't do casual. I do all in or nothing. I want all in with you." Jamie looked at this dangerous, intense man who'd seen her when she'd been invisible for a decade and made the bravest choice of her life. All in. Drop a comment if you've ever had to choose yourself over someone you loved. Hit that like button if you're Team Ji-won or Team Miles. And subscribe because this story is about to get even better. 3 months later, Jamie's life looked nothing like it had before. She'd moved into Ji-won's penthouse. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Golden Gate Bridge, minimalist luxury, the kind of space that whispered wealth rather than shouted it. She kept her old apartment at first, telling herself it was practical, but really it was insurance. A safety net in case being chosen first turned out to be temporary. Ji-won never pushed. He let her keep her escape route while proving every single day that she wouldn't need it. Her photography career exploded. Ji-won's connections opened doors, but her talent kept them open. Her first gallery showing drew crowds, press, and Miles. He showed up looking uncomfortable in a suit that didn't quite fit, with a woman Jamie didn't recognize hovering nervously at his side. "Hey, Jay." "Miles." Jamie's voice was cool, professional. The kind of tone you'd use with an acquaintance, not someone who'd been your whole world for a decade. "Your work is incredible. I never knew you were this good." "You never asked." Miles flinched. "I'm sorry. For all of it. You were right. I took you for granted. I didn't see you. I know. Hana got married. I didn't crash the wedding. I just let her go." "Good. You should." Miles glanced across the gallery to where Ji-won stood, watching their conversation with the focused intensity of a predator monitoring a threat. "Are you happy? With him?" Jamie followed his gaze. Ji-won was dressed in all black, a drink in his hand, looking completely out of place among the art collectors and champagne-sipping elite. But his eyes never left her, like she was the only person in the room worth watching. "Yeah," Jamie said softly. "I really am. He's dangerous. So was staying with you. At least this danger sees me." Ji-won crossed the gallery before Miles could respond, his hand finding the small of Jamie's back with possessive ease. "Brother." "Ji-won." Miles's discomfort was palpable. "Thank you for coming. Jamie's worked hard for this." Ji-won looked at Jamie like she'd hung the stars. "She deserves to be celebrated." "I know, I should have celebrated her a long time ago." "Yes," Ji-won said simply, "you should have." He dismissed Miles with nothing more than a look, turning Jamie toward a potential buyer, his hand never leaving her back. Jamie felt protected and claimed simultaneously, and for the first time in her life, she didn't mind either feeling. Later that night, in the penthouse, Ji-won poured them wine and asked about the interaction. "He apologized," Jamie said, curling into the couch. "Said he should have seen me sooner." "He should have." "Are you jealous?" Ji-won's smile was dangerous. Of Miles? No. He had 10 years and did nothing. "I have 3 months and I've already claimed every part of you. We're not the same." "Claimed?" Jamie raised an eyebrow. "I'm not property, Kang." His jaw tightened at the use of his surname. "Ji-won, don't. Call me Kang when you're in my arms." "What if I want to call you Kang?" Ji-won's eyes darkened. "Then I'll remind you why you scream Ji-won instead." The banter was playful, but underneath it was something deeper, a connection that scared Jamie sometimes with its intensity. Ji-won didn't do anything halfway. When he loved completely, possessively, overwhelmingly. But cracks were starting to show. Ji-won came home late more often, sometimes with bruises he wouldn't explain. Phone calls in rapid Korean made his expression tighten. Sung-ho looked worried more frequently. Security around Jamie tripled, then quadrupled. One night, Jamie woke to find Ji-won's side of the bed empty. She found him on the terrace, speaking in harsh Korean, his body language screaming tension. When he saw her, he ended the call abruptly. "Everything okay?" Jamie pulled her robe tighter. Ji-won drew her into his arms. "Business! Nothing for you to worry about. You promised honesty." Hesitated. "There's a territorial dispute. Another organization is pushing into our area. It'll be handled." "Handled how?" "The less you know, the safer you are." "That's not honesty." Jamie pulled back. "That's protection disguised as honesty." "Jamie." Ji-won's voice was strained. "There are parts of my world where knowledge is danger. I'm trying to protect you. By keeping secrets? By keeping you clean. If something happened, if authorities came asking questions, I need you to honestly say you know nothing." Jamie understood the logic, but it didn't make it hurt less. "I hate this. I know, but this is the life. This is what you signed up for." "I signed up for you. All of you, not just the pretty parts. You have all of me. That's why I'm keeping the ugly away from you." It was their first real fight, and they went to bed angry for the first time ever. The tension escalated over the next 2 weeks. Ji-won snapped at her once, exhausted and on edge, saying something about keeping her safe so she could take her pretty photographs. Jamie had thrown a pillow at him and slept in the guest room. He'd apologized for hours, but the words had landed like shrapnel. Then Jamie got followed. She didn't notice at first, but Seung-ho did. He'd been driving her to the gallery when his expression changed, eyes constantly checking the mirrors. "We have a tail," he said calmly. "Don't panic. I'm getting you somewhere safe." "Who is it?" "Don't know yet, but the boss won't be happy." That was an understatement. When Ji-won found out, he lost it. Jamie had never seen him that angry, cold fury that was somehow more terrifying than hot rage. He switched to Korean with his men, his tone commanding and deadly, and Jamie caught the name Park Dong-min multiple times. "What's happening?" she demanded when Ji-won finally switched back to English. "You were followed today, by a rival. They're testing me, seeing if you're really mine or just a passing thing." "What's your response?" Ji-won's smile was devoid of warmth. "That anyone who touches you doesn't get to breathe." Security became suffocating. Jamie couldn't go to the coffee shop without 3 men following her. Her freedom shrank daily, and she started to feel like a prisoner rather than a partner. "I can't even go to the grocery store without an armed escort," she shouted during another fight. "You're a target now, because you're mine." "I didn't ask to be a target." "You asked to be with me. This is what that means." "So what? I'm just supposed to hide? Forever?" "Until this is resolved, yes." "And when will it be resolved?" Ji-won had no answer, and that silence said everything. 1 week later, at a charity gala, Jamie met the threat face to face. Park Dong-min was everything Ji-won wasn't. Theatrical where Ji-won was controlled, cruel where Ji-won was protective, performative where Ji-won was genuine. He approached their table with a shark smile, speaking in Korean first before switching to English. "And this must be the famous Jamie Parker, the woman who tamed the wolf of San Francisco." Jamie extended her hand professionally, but Park kissed it, lingering too long. Ji-won stepped between them immediately. "We're done here," Ji-won said, his voice deadly quiet. "Are we? I was hoping we could discuss our mutual interests. The East Bay territory, for instance." "It's open territory." "Was, until I claimed it last week." "You claimed nothing. You moved product through it. There's a difference." Park's smile widened. "Such hostility. And in front of your lovely companion. Does she know what you do, Ji-won? Really do? Does she know about the warehouse fire in Oakland last month? 12 of my men, burned alive." Ji-won's expression didn't change. "They were moving fentanyl through family neighborhoods. I warned you, no drugs." "Ah, yes, your famous moral code. Tell me, Miss Parker, does it help you sleep at night, knowing your boyfriend is a murderer with standards?" Jamie met Park's eyes directly. Better a murderer with standards than a coward without them. Park laughed, genuinely amused. "She has teeth. I like her. It'll be a shame when this ends badly." Ji-won's voice dropped to a register that made Jamie's skin crawl. "Touch her and you die. Threaten her and your entire organization burns. Look at her wrong and I'll make your death last days. Are we clear?" "Crystal. But Ji-won, you can't protect her every moment of every day. Eventually you'll slip." Park looked at Jamie one last time. "It was lovely meeting you, Miss Parker. I hope we meet again under better circumstances." They left the gala immediately. In the car, Ji-won vibrated with suppressed violence. "He's going to come after me," Jamie said quietly. "I won't let him." "You can't promise that." "I just did. Is this my life now, looking over my shoulder? Being bait? No, this is temporary. I'll end this." "How?" Ji-won couldn't answer, and Jamie felt their perfect 3 months crumbling around them. 2 days later, everything went to hell. Jamie was at her gallery reviewing photos for her next show. Sung-ho was with her, plus 2 guards outside. She'd insisted on going, needed normalcy, needed to feel like herself again instead of a bird in a gilded cage. Sung-ho stepped out to take a call. That's when they came. 3 men, masks, guns, professional. Jamie fought. Everything Ji-won and Sung-ho had taught her. She broke one attacker's nose, went for another's eyes, but there were 3 of them and 1 of her. A cloth pressed over her mouth. Chemical smell. The world went dark. She woke zip-tied to a chair in a warehouse, head pounding, mouth tasting like poison. Park Dongmin sat across from her reading a newspaper like it was Sunday brunch. "Ah, you're awake. Good. I was starting to worry we used too much chloroform. Where am I?" "Somewhere Ji-won won't find you. For a few hours, at least." Park folded his newspaper. "I want Ji-won to understand consequences. He burned my warehouse, killed 12 of my men. Actions have repercussions." "So you kidnap me? That's your big plan?" Park smiled. "You're brave, or foolish. Your hands are shaking, but your voice is steady. Impressive. You're going to kill me either way. Might as well die brave." "Kill you? No, that would be too easy. I'm going to give you a choice. Leave Ji-won. Tonight. Completely. Disappear from his life. Break his heart. Move to another city. Never contact him again. In exchange, I leave him alone. No more territory wars. No more violence. Peace. You expect me to believe you'd honor that? I'm a man of my word, unlike Ji-won, who promises to keep you safe while you sit here, zip-tied and bleeding." Jamie's wrists were raw from struggling against the restraints. Not yet." One of Park's men rushed in, whispering urgently in Korean. Park's expression shifted to annoyance. "How many?" he asked in Korean. 20, maybe more. Kang brought everyone." Park switched to English for Jamie's benefit. "Your boyfriend is here, with an army. Very romantic." Outside, Ji-won stood with Sung-ho and 20 armed men. His face was a mask of controlled fury, but inside he was dying. He'd been tracking Jamie's phone. She'd be mad about that later, if there was a later. He called Park directly. "Let her go." Park put it on speaker. "Or what, you'll storm my warehouse? You're outnumbered." "Numbers don't matter when you have nothing to lose, and without her, I have nothing to lose." "Exactly my point. You're compromised, weak. This woman makes you weak. This woman makes me dangerous. When I had nothing, I was careful, calculated. Now I have everything, which means I'll burn down the entire city to get her back. Your choice. Give her to me and walk away, or die here tonight." Big words. Not words, a promise. "In the 3 hours you've had her, I've dismantled your empire. Your supply chains are cut. Your distributors are dropping you. Your accounts are frozen. So ask yourself, is this worth it?" Park looked at Jamie, who said quietly, "He's not bluffing. You don't know him. I do. He doesn't bluff." Park realized his miscalculation. "Fine, you can have her. But this isn't over." "Yes, it is. You touched her. You breathe on borrowed time now." They brought Jamie out. She was shaking but walking, refusing to show weakness. Ji-won saw her raw, bleeding wrists and something murderous crossed his face. He spoke to Sung-ho in Korean. "Kill them all. Leave Park to me. The girl first. Get her safe. She's always first." Ji-won walked toward Jamie. The moment she was in reach, he pulled her behind him into Sung-ho's arms. "Get her out now." "Ji-won," Jamie tried. He didn't look at her. Couldn't, because if he did, he'd lose control. "Go, Parker, please." "Don't do anything." He finally looked at her. "He hurt you. There's no version of tonight where he survives. Now go." Sung-ho pulled Jamie to a car. As they drove away, she heard gunshots. Many gunshots. Hours later, Ji-won came home at dawn covered in blood. Jamie sat on the couch, wrapped in one of his shirts, bandaged and cleaned up. Imani had been there but left when she heard Ji-won's car. "You're still here," he said from the doorway. "Where else would I be?" "Gone. Smart women run from men like me." "I'm not running." Ji-won sat at her feet, couldn't get closer. "I killed 6 men tonight. Park is alive, but barely. He'll never walk again. I did that." "I know. Doesn't it scare you?" "Terrifies me. But you're still here." "I'm still here." Ji-won broke. "I'm sorry. I promised to keep you safe and I failed. He took you. He hurt you." Jamie slid off the couch, kneeling in front of him. "You didn't fail. You found me. You saved me." "I should have prevented it." "You're not God, Ji-won. You can't control everything." He touched her bandaged wrists gently. "I can control who hurts you." "At what cost?" "How?" "Many bodies?" "All of it. Every single one. I'd paint the streets red before I let someone take you again." "That's not healthy." "I never promised healthy. I promised real." They sat in silence, both processing trauma and violence, and love twisted into something complicated. "Park gave me a choice," Jamie said quietly. "Leave you and he'd stop. Stay with you and this never ends." Ji-won tensed. "And?" "I chose you. Even when I was terrified, even when I thought I might die, I chose you." "You shouldn't have." "Probably not. You should leave. Right now, before this gets worse." "Is that what you want?" "I want you safe, even if it means safe from me." "Too bad. I'm staying." Jamie cupped his face, forcing him to look at her. "I'm staying. We'll figure this out together. But I'm not leaving. I'm not running. I'm not giving up on us." Ji-won pulled her into his lap, holding her like she might disappear. "I don't deserve you." "Probably not, but you've got me anyway." They stayed like that until sunrise, both knowing this wasn't over but hoping love was enough to survive what was coming. Over the next year, they built something real. Ji-won restructured his organization, splitting territory, stepping back from the most dangerous operations. Jamie became his partner in the legitimate businesses, her photography funding opening galleries across the Bay Area. They went to therapy, individual and couples. They fought better, communicated more, trusted deeper. Miles moved on with someone who actually saw him. He and Jamie reached a place of mature friendship, the kind built on respect rather than need. At Jamie's gallery opening a year later, Miles brought his girlfriend and genuinely smiled when he congratulated her. Yuna, Ji-won's supposedly dead fiancée, never returned. That threat had been a false alarm from his father testing Ji-won's commitment. When Ji-won chose Jamie without hesitation, even his father had to respect it. 1 year after the kidnapping, Ji-won took Jamie back to the vineyard where they'd first had dinner. He'd set up an exhibition of all her work throughout the property, each piece marked with the date and his memory of that moment. The final frame was empty with a plaque. "For all the moments we haven't captured yet." Jamie turned to find Ji-won on one knee, holding a ring with an emerald center stone. "Jamie Parker. A year ago, I was on my knees in your gallery, covered in blood, begging for a second chance. Today, I'm on my knees in a vineyard with clean hands, begging for forever. Marry me. Be my partner, my home, my always. Choose me like I choose you, every day, every moment for the rest of our lives." Jamie knelt with him. "Yes. 1,000 times yes." "How soon?" "Soon. I've waited long enough." 3 months later, they married at the same vineyard. Intimate ceremony, 50 people, vows about choosing each other through chaos and calm. Imani cried through the entire thing. Seung-ho looked uncomfortable in a tux, but honored. Even Miles attended with his girlfriend, genuinely happy for them both. When the officiant said, "You may kiss your bride," Ji-won pulled Jamie close and whispered, "Mine." "Yours," Jamie whispered back. "Finally, completely yours." 1 year after the wedding, Jamie reflected on her journey, from invisible best friend to cherished wife, from backup plan to first choice, from woman who waited to woman who chose. She'd learned the hardest lesson. Sometimes the person you wait for isn't the person you're meant to be with. Sometimes you have to stop being someone's second choice and start being your own first choice. And sometimes the dangerous stranger sees you better than the safe friend ever could. Jamie Parker had spent 10 years invisible, but she'd spent the last 3 years gloriously, undeniably, powerfully seen, and that made all the heartbreak worth it. If this story resonated with you, drop a comment about your own journey from invisible to seen. Hit that like button if you believe in choosing yourself first, and subscribe for more stories about love, growth, and finding your worth. What's the bravest choice you've ever made for yourself? Let me know below.